He's the horror hunter from down under. He will go in search every week of the best and worst in horror movies throughout the month of October. His mission? Don't come back until he's found some of the best and worst putrid piles of horror goodness you could ever imagine. Welcome back, boys and girls. This time around, we're looking at Halloween 6, The Curse of Micheal Myers. I'm your host, the Horror Hunter. This time around, we got two versions of film to look at. One, the theatrical cut. Some prefer the theatrical cut, but others prefer the producer's cut. Now, to understand what's going on in Halloween 6, you have to realize this is why this is called the Thorn Trilogy. Halloweens 4, 5, and 6 are essentially the story of Jamie Lloyd, who unfortunately dies within the first few minutes of Halloween 6, this time played by J.C. Brandy instead of everyone's favorite Daniela Harris. Now, that was already disappointing for Halloween fans such as the Horror Hunter. However, we are still given one final performance by the great Donald Pleasence as Dr. Sam Loomis. Now, the thing that makes this movie so interesting is the behind-the-scenes problems with the film. The producers wanted to make a more subdued film this time, more like the original Halloween, not so much blood and gore. However, the producers, they had other plans. They wanted to see a bloodbath. So as a result, we got two cuts of the film. The producer's cut, a more subdued psychological version of the film that still has some issues, and the theatrical cut, which is, well, not quite as confusing of a mess, but still has some major problems. Now, part of the reason this movie had so many reshoots and, the fact that there are two cuts is the fact that, well, when they tested the film with the theatrical cut, the audience was stuffed with 14-year-old boys. Let's just think about that for a minute. Yes, I understand that probably many of you watching saw your first horror films when you were just a teenager, but at the time, would you say you had discerning tastes? Some of you probably did, others may not. The point is, you don't let teenagers decide the fate of your movie. You have to think about it. You have to let it marinate. You have to really consider what the best thing to do with this movie was. Now, as far as the theatrical cut versus the producer's cut, I myself am a producer's cut man. The theatrical cut, while interesting and is probably the one that I've seen the most, the producer's cut is the kind of thing that was so elusive that for the longest time the only place you could find it was at fan conventions on really bad quality VHS bootlegs, and then eventually DVD bootlegs. Now, the thing that's really interesting about the film is that eventually the fine folks over at Anchor Bay and Scream Factory were able to broker a deal with Dimension Films and get the producer's cut a legitimate release on home video as part first of the 15-disc Ultimate Edition Halloween set, and then secondly, it got its own independent release through Dimension Films. Now, I love the producer's cut over the theatrical cut, primarily because it does some unique things that you've never seen in a Halloween movie before. And there's a twist ending that just makes you go, no. What just happened? I'm not exactly sure what happened. As a result, what you're left with is something that you still have questions about. Now, as a result of that, many fans don't like it. I myself like the mystery. I like the idea of having to think a little bit about exactly what's going on. Now, granted, there are still some major problems with this movie, but the majority of the problems come from the fact that the producers and the team that were actually making the film could not get along. Now, the writer and the producers were the ones that were championing the producer's cut, whereas the studio were like, no, more blood, more gore, less of this Cult of the Thorn nonsense. Now, the Cult of the Thorn, That's interesting for a number of reasons. They're led by Jason Wynn, the head of Smith's Grove Sanitarium from way back with the original John Carpenter's Halloween, the very sanitarium Michael Myers originally escaped from. This movie leads us to believe that he is the Man in Black from Halloween 5, and he is the leader of the Cult of the Thorn. He kidnapped Jamie Lloyd at the end of Halloween 5, forced her uncle to have sex with her. I know, this is where stuff gets really messed up. And that is why this movie is such a problem, because you realize, oh my god, Michael Myers screwed his niece. And the little baby in the movie is in fact Michael Myers' nephew/son. Now, while I understand if this is a strange turn for most of you, understand that this is in both versions of the film that you're led to believe this. So, take that for what you will. I myself love the producer's cut over the theatrical cut. I think Halloween 6 is a slightly better entry than most people give it credit for, simply because of the fact that there are two really, different cuts of the film. And I think you should definitely give it a watch if you're interested in something that's really going to make you think about what's going on in the picture. So, I've been your host, the Horror Hunter. Tune in next time when we'll be talking about Halloween Resurrection and Busta Rhymes. I'll see you guys later.